Hello, and welcome to episode number 6 of the Rabe Creations podcast. My name is Nicole, and I'm coming to you from Calgary, here in Alberta, Canada, where I live with my husband Barry, my son Riley, and my beautiful Rottweiler named Grace. This podcast deals mainly with crochet. Sometimes there's some sewing. There isn't any this week. And there's always a book recommendation. Books and crochet are my passions, so that's what I share on my podcast. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please stick around, join us for a little while. To all of my returning viewers, thank you for subscribing and welcome back. It's great to spend some time with you. And to anyone who's new, welcome. I hope you enjoy what you find here and that you hit that subscribe button and join us every 2 weeks for a little bit of crafty talk. Alrighty, a little bit about what's been going on. I have been ill. Haven't been feeling very well for the past week or so. That was a double-edged sword, I guess. It made for me to get more crochet time because I had to take a day off work. And my voice may not have the same quality it normally does. I apologize if things start to get a little hoarse. But I'm doing what I can, and I didn't want to miss this podcast. Also got some big things going on today here at home. We've decided to have an impromptu celebration in the backyard of nothing specific other than it looks like in a lot of places, we've decided to skip spring altogether this year and jump full on into summer. Not that I'm complaining. We're having another beautiful day today, so we decided to fire up the smoker and throw some meat in the smoker and invite a bunch of people over. So we're having an impromptu get-together in the backyard. But that means I do have to record a little earlier than I normally do. So let's get on to what I'm wearing. I have finished my tide pool tank. It is a design by Angela Plunkett, and it was in the summer 2017 edition of the Interweave Crochet magazine. And I have used as my yarn, let me see here, sorry, what was it called? The Premier Yarns Cotton Fair. So it is a cotton acrylic blend, and the colorway is called Cloud Spotting. It is showing up quite pooled and almost matrixing on screen, and I'm sorry for that. It might be a little distracting, please forgive me. It's not nearly as pooled in real life as it is on camera, as does sometimes happen. Overall, I was very pleased with how it's turned out. The yarn was great to work with, a little splitty at times, but great to work with. You know, even crocheting with it, the feel of the yarn was cool. So I do have high hopes for being able to wear this throughout the summer. And I'll stand up and give you a little bit of a view of the whole top. So as you can see, it is not cropped at all. It is a nice length. It is got a lot of, not a lot, but just in my opinion, the right amount of positive ease. I'm sorry if you can hear a dog in the background. That is not my dog. It is the neighbor dog, and it's a little bit crazy. The back detailing, let me turn around and show you. It does have the mesh panel that goes up the back. I don't know if you can see that or not. I hope you can. And on the front, it has the mesh detailing across the top. So as I said, overall, I am quite pleased with how this has turned out. Oh, I'm so sorry for the dog. Let me go close the window. And through the magic of video editing, I'm back. And the window's closed, so hopefully we won't hear the crazy dog next door barking for the entire of the podcast. So, where was I? Back to my shirt. So yes, I am quite pleased with how it turned out. I think it will be very wearable. It's extremely comfortable. Overall, a great pattern, well worth the make. Alrighty, well, if you've stuck around this far, I'd like to encourage you to go grab yourself a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, whatever is your poison. Sit back and join me for the next segment, where I'll be talking about some other finished objects. All right, finished projects. I do have one other one to share with you today. It was a work in progress last podcast, as was my top, and it is the Briochet crochet shawl, and it is beautiful. So here it is in all its glory. As you can see, it is technically longer than my wingspan, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So this is the lighter side. This is the darker side. It is completely reversible, and the patterning blows my mind. So the pattern itself is the Briochet shawl, and it's by Samantha Tria. I sure hope I've said that right, Sam. I'm so sorry if I didn't. From Bumblebee Acres Farm. The pattern is a paid pattern on Ravelry, but it is up and it is available now, and I do highly suggest that you go take a look. It is beautiful. It was so fun to work up. The stitch is just the same stitch repeated over and over and over again, so it's not challenging that way. It can be a little fiddly. So it's not necessarily good take-along crochet. It's not a good take-along project unless you're going to a place where you can give it some attention. I love the lace detailing in the middle, and I have to say, the yarns that I worked with on this shawl were absolutely amazing. They blocked fantastically well, and they work so well together. So the lighter color is by Little Bean Crochet, Kayleen at Little Bean Loves, Little Bean Crochet, and it's called Queen of Hearts. It was her Valentine's colorway from this year, and it is spectacular. It is a wool nylon blend, so it could be used as sock yarn. And it is fantastic. It's great to work with. Yeah, just beautiful. Loved it. The darker color is from Stranded Dye Works, Amy at Stranded Dye Works, and it is called Anti-Valentine. It was also her Valentine colorway from this year. And the two colors, although Amy's is on a dark base and Kayleen's is on a light base, the purple tones within it match perfectly. So they've played together so very, very nicely. I will probably be wearing the shawl next podcast, but I'll put it on quickly to show you what it looks like. Now, keep in mind this is unfloofed, so it won't be quite as dramatic and beautiful as when I can see what I'm doing. So let me just pop it on quickly for you. Oh, there we go, there we go, there we go. Fix my hair. Of course, I've now covered my microphone as well, so I'm not sure how well you'll be able to hear me at this point. And oh, the great color combinations that are going on here. I apologize, that's awful. But there it is, in all its glory. As I said, it's a paid-for pattern, but it is available now on Ravelry. And I do suggest you go check it out. Bumblebee Acres Farm, Briochet shawl. It's gorgeous and I love it. So glad I made this. Well, that's it for finished objects for the week. I feel like I haven't necessarily accomplished a lot, but really a shirt and a fairly large shawl is quite a bit. So you know what? I think I did accomplish quite a bit. And I started 2 new projects that I will be able to share with you coming up in the next segment. Okay, current projects. I have 2 new projects to share with you this podcast. Neither of them have you seen before. The first one happened when I was not feeling well. I had finished my top and I needed something else that was fairly mindless. You know, when you're not feeling great, but you want to keep busy, you want to do something, but you don't want to really have to think about it too hard. So onto Ravelry I went to search for a pattern that would meet those needs. You know, something that was fun and beautiful, because there's no point in doing something that you're not going to enjoy, but that I didn't have to think about too hard. So looking through a bunch of patterns on Ravelry, and I opened up the Butterfly Stitch Prayer Shawl. That is a free download on Ravelry. And I've admired it for a little while, but I really wasn't into a shawl. So to YouTube I went. I was sure I had seen it as a blanket somewhere, but I couldn't find the pattern. So to YouTube I went, because if you're ever, you know, in need of some information, go to YouTube. Somebody somewhere will have the information for you. And I typed in butterfly blanket, came up with a few hits, and there was one by the Fibre Spider where he had taken the butterfly prayer shawl, which is originally by, let me see, N.J. Sharon and Debbie Adams. Debbie Adams is who has it listed on Ravelry. So he took that and he played with it a bit and he turned it into a square. So it's gone from being a triangle shawl to a square blanket. And it's so easy. It's one of those patterns that I think looks more complicated than it really is. Once you've got the stitch pattern, you've got the stitch pattern, and you don't really have to think about it at all. So let me show you where I'm at with it. It's living here in my Miss Peregrine's home for peculiar children's tote bag. No, it's not. That's my blurred line shawl. Oh no. Oh, sorry. It's living here in my ABC tote bag. Oh, the confusion of having multi-projects on the go. Oops, there went the hook. And I should tell you that I am using Caron Cakes, the original formulation of Caron Cakes. So it is 80% acrylic and 20% wool. And it is in the buttercream colorway. Caron Cakes seem to be one of those things where you love them or you hate them. I have had good success with Caron Cakes. When I am working with non-hand dyed type yarn, it's one of my go-tos. I quite enjoy the Caron Cakes. So let me show you the butterfly blanket. Now that I've lost the hook, I'm going to try not to lose a multitude of stitches. Let me see, where am I at? Because of course, who puts in a progress keeper? That would just be too smart. All right, here we go. I'm just going to make this loop a little bit bigger so I don't lose any stitches along the way. And I will hold it in front of my face because it is that big already. And there it is. So I hope you can see the butterfly patterning that is coming out. And as I said, normally as a shawl it would be like that. And the Fibre Spider played with the pattern and he has created a square. I am really enjoying this. Now Hannah over at the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast, sorry, let me get this all folded up without losing any stitches, is running a cowl right now called Love Yourself. We as makers tend to do a lot of makes for other people. I recently have not been. I've been making myself shawls and I've been making myself sweaters, but I have done a number of commissions and whatnot. But Hannah is really trying to get people to, take some time to focus on yourself. And this blanket, because it's not only for me, it's going on my couch downstairs when it's completed, but it was my I'm feeling sick and feeling sorry for myself project. I couldn't think of a more fitting project that says love yourself. When you're sick and you find that perfect pattern to work on, that was loving myself. So that is going to be entered in Hannah's Cal, and I encourage you, if you haven't gone to the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast to check out Hannah, please do. She's fantastic. Such a sweet, sweet, sweet woman. Yeah, you just got to check her out. And please join in with her Cal. It's a lot of fun. There's no real guidelines as to what you can be creating, so there's going to be lots of different projects for you to take a look at and be inspired by. She does have a Ravelry page, so you can find her there as well. So yeah, that's my butterfly blanket, as I am calling it. And I do believe that once I'm finished this one for me, I may be making one in a finer weight yarn for my shop as well, my Etsy shop, Rabe Creations on Etsy. So besides the butterfly blanket, I also finally bit the bullet and started my Blurred Lines sweater. It is on Ravelry. It is a paid-for pattern, so I'm just showing you the first page here. There is no pattern details on it. It is by Deanne Ramsey, who is Addie Day Designs, and it is fantastic. I printed it out in black and white because, color ink is way too expensive. But the pattern itself is worked in two colors, so you've got a lighter color at the top, then you fade into a darker color, and then you fade back into your lighter color. I'm choosing to do mine in three colors, so I'm starting out with the lightest color, then moving into mid-note tones, and then finishing out in the darkest color. Sleeve detailing is great. It does have a thumb hole in the sleeve, so long sleeves that'll go to about mid-finger with a nice little thumb hole. I just think it's gorgeous. It is a beautiful, beautiful crochet sweater. As you know, if you've watched this podcast in the past, I am on a mission to make sure everybody knows that you can create wearable garments in crochet. You do not have to be a knitter to get a sweater that you can wear. Now this one is my shirt that I'm wearing is fairly gapey. But the Blurred Lines sweater will not be. It is absolutely beautiful. Now, one of the reasons it took me a while to start this sweater were the yarn requirements. To make my size, and I'm making the extra large size, I would need 7 skeins of yarn. 7 skeins of 400 meter, so fingerling weight yarn. Trying to do that out of hand-dyed yarn, which of course would be absolutely incredible, would also be absolutely expensive. I'm paying right now, Canadian, between $25 and $30 per skein. The math is scary. I can't afford to spend over $200 on a single project. Well, I could, if it was the only project I was going to do for 6 months. So I can't afford that. So I've actually followed the cue of Hannah over at Cozy Cottage Crochet, where she is doing the same sweater out of loops and thread, wool-like. Now, I used wool-like to do a mandala blanket last year for my niece when she got married, and it worked up wonderfully. I really enjoyed working with the yarn. It is a very light fingerling, sort of verging on lace, but super easy to work with. It is 100% acrylic. I know I'm working with plastic, but from a costing perspective, this I can justify. So as I said, I'm doing it in 3 colors. The first color that will be in the sweater is this one here, and it is ice blue. So a really light blue. And then that is going to fade into it really will fade into, not that one, that's the third one. Oh my goodness, I am feeling very disorganized here. I apologize. Aha! Fell on the floor. Sorry if I just blew your eardrums out with my aha. So the ice blue is going to fade into the denim blue. So I think that will be a nice fade. And then the denim blue is going to fade into the, what is this called? Teal Lake, I believe it's called. Yes, Teal Lake. So that is going to be my sweater. Well, I guess it will be in that way. So light to the mid to the Teal Lake. And I think it's going to be gorgeous. The sleeves also follow that same fading pattern. If you haven't had a chance to check out this pattern, I do suggest you do. It is absolutely gorgeous. And again, on the cowl front, over at Crafternoon Treats, Crafternoon Treats is hosting a jumper along cowl. I already put my my mesh crossed mesh sweater onto the sweater along cowl, or the jumper along cowl, and hopefully I'll have the blurred line sweater finished in time to enter it as well. I have talked about it in the chatter thread, and hopefully I will be able to finish the sweater as a finished object and have it entered in that cowl as well. You know, speaking of cowls, I often, because I watch so many YouTubers, I often get really excited and then I just sort of lose steam with cowls, and I don't know why. But lately I've been really good. I've got cowls entered more often now than I ever have before. But I think what I'm doing now that was different to what I was doing before. Before I was finding a cowl and going, ooh, that sounds really interesting, and then finding a project to go with the cowl. And often it wasn't necessarily the project that I wanted to be working on. I just wanted to be involved in the cowl. So I'm approaching things a little differently now. I'm finding the projects that excite me and that I want to work on. And then, while I watch all my podcasts, because I have a fair, hefty number of subscriptions happening, as I'm watching those podcasts, if they have a cowl that happens to work with a project that I'm currently working on or that I have the yarn put aside for, then I'll start that cowl. And this has been working out very well for me, because not only am I able to join into the cowl, which is fun and exciting and makes you feel even more a part of our community, but I'm able to be doing that with a project that I truly want to be working on. So overall, this seems to be the way to go for me. And it's sort of the way I will keep approaching it until perhaps somebody tempts me with a project / cowl that meets all those ticked boxes. But yeah, so those are my two current, oh, I guess I should show you the blurred lines progress that I've made. There hasn't been much. I just started this 2 days ago, and it is in that fine fingerling weight. So I do have to be a little cautious about when I work on this. It is a little fiddly, it is a little fine, but I'm working on the collar, and there it is. So that is the extent of my sweater. This will become a sweater. Right now, it is the collar piece. Yeah, so far, the pattern is easy to read, but let's face it, I've only just started. So I will continue to update you on the pattern and how I'm finding it, and how this wool-like yarn is working out as a replacement for the hand-dyed that the pattern suggests. And that, now that I've actually shown you my progress on the blurred lines sweater, is my projects that I'm currently working on. All right, so on to some new acquisitions. All right, so on to some recent acquisitions. I have been trying to be good I have been trying not to do too many orders right now because I have a yarn fair coming up in 1 week. So in 1 week here in Calgary at the Crossroads Market will be the Calgary Spring Fibre Festival, I believe it's called, and I am attending. So it does run on the 12th and the 13th, doors at 9 a.m. I will be there on the Saturday because the Sunday is Mother's Day and have all kinds of stuff to do for Mother's Day. But I will be there on the Saturday and I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully I'll be able to get some footage and share that with you on the next podcast. So that's beside the point. I have been trying not to buy a whole lot of new stuff. Trying to save a few dollars so I can support my local dyers and producers at the show. That being said, I've ordered things. So the first 2 things I'm going to show you, I apologize for the crinkling, are 2 project bags. And they are both from the same maker, a local Alberta maker, and I did order them off of Etsy. The maker is Longview Creations, is the Etsy shop. And I've ordered 2 sock-sized project bags. So this is the first one. Hope you can see the detailing on that because it's so cute. So it's little foxes is the print. There is a stitch marker zipper pull, progress keeper. It is very well made. Zipper top. Inside it does have a beige brown print and it looks like leaves. It is a square bottom bag with a orange contrasting color at the bottom, and I think it's just gorgeous. So this one is mine. I'm going to be keeping this one. The second one that I ordered from Longview Creations is this one. It is Canada with a capital C. It's got all these hockey playing beavers, which is just really, really cute. Comes with the same little zipper pull progress keeper. Same square bottom bag in the black fabric. Inside is just plain white, which works out quite nicely. And again, it is a sock size bag. This one is not for me. As I said on my last podcast, once I reach my 100 subscribers, I plan to do a giveaway. And this is going to be one of the bags, or one of the prizes for the giveaway. I figure it is very Canadian, and I am very proud to be Canadian, and I'd love to share that little bit of Canada with everybody. And if another Canadian wins it, yay Canada. And if somebody from outside Canada wins it, you too can carry your hockey playing beavers project bag, because it is just so darn cute. There will be some other things that go into that giveaway as well, and I will show them as I receive them and when we actually do the giveaway after hitting 100 subscribers. So, in order for the giveaway to happen, I'm going to need people to subscribe. As of filming this, I am at 87 subscribers, so we're slowly getting there, and hopefully we'll get a few more after this podcast, and by midsummer we should be able to do our giveaway. So yeah, that will be part of the giveaway. And again, that's Longview Creations out of Alberta, southern Alberta, like me. I believe they are over by Red Deer. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, great quality bags if you'd like to go check out Longview Creations Etsy shop. I'm sure she'd love the attention. And finally, it was a yarn purchase, but it was just a Michaels yarn purchase. And the only reason I did purchase it this time was because it was on sale. And who can resist a good yarn sale? Not me, I admit. I'm weak. So I have been wanting to try the Karen cotton cakes for a while. I'd seen these when they became available on, different YouTube channels and whatnot. But here in Canada, we always get things much later than the States, so we've had to wait for them to come out. But they were on sale at Michaels. I ran in it to get another ball of the buttercream colorway in the Karen cakes for my blanket, and these were on sale, 2 for $10, so I couldn't resist, and I had to pick it up because these colors are just absolutely beautiful. So this colorway is called Rose Whisper, and for those of you who don't know, the Karen cotton cakes are 60% cotton and 40% acrylic, so similar in their makeup as the yarn I used for my shirt, which means that this might actually be able to become another summer shirt, which would be really nice because the colors are absolutely beautiful. So I hope these colors show up really well on camera because they are very subtle color differences. There is a mauve and sort of beigey colors going from a dark beige to almost a white and then back into the mauve. And I think this is absolutely stunning and beautiful and subtle and will make a beautiful, beautiful summer top. Don't have the pattern yet, but I'm leaning towards another summer top out of this beautiful Karen's Cotton Cakes. I will let you know what the yarn's like to work with, how it compares to the yarn that I used for my shirt. Yeah, we'll see. It looks like the Karen's Cotton Cake is more tightly wound, so it may not have quite the splitting issues that I had with this one. So the other thing that I have ordered, I know I said I tried to be good, but you know, orders always have to happen. I did order some more stitch markers. One that will be part of the giveaway, and a couple for me, but they have not arrived yet, so I will have to wait and share them with you next time. But those have been my acquisitions. Haven't been as many as there has been in the past because I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to have some extra money to go to the Fibre Festival next weekend. Alrighty, so that's bringing us pretty close to the end, and we'll move on to the next segment. We'll take a stroll on over to my bookshelf. All right, so from the bookshelf. Today I thought I'd talk to you about a book read a little while ago, not too long. It's a fairly new release, and the author is Alice Hoffman. The book is called The Rules of Magic. Now, Alice Hoffman is a fairly prolific writer. She has had quite a few books published. One of her most famous, because it was also made into a movie that has a bit of a following, was called Practical Magic. Now, anyone who has read the book Practical Magic and seen the movie Practical Magic will know that they are two very separate things. Although the characters are the same in both the book and the movie, the actual storyline is incredibly different. Saying that, normally I say, you know, the book is always better than the movie. That's hard for me to say with Practical Magic because I love that movie. It is one of my favorite movies. It's one of those movies where I can watch it a million times, never get bored with it. I love it. It is a fantastic movie. Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman star in the movie, and it's fantastic. If you haven't seen it, watch it. But watching the movie and reading the book are two different experiences. And Alice Hoffman recently released a book called The Rules of Magic. And The Rules of Magic is actually a prequel to Practical Magic. And it's wonderful. I could relate it to the book, but I could also relate it to the movie. It tied into both extremely well. So kudos to Alice Hoffman for being able to do that. So a little bit of background on the book. It is the story of the Owens family, and the Owens family have been cursed. They were cursed by love gone wrong, and the Owens family have always been witches. And one of those witches fell in love with the wrong man, and she left a curse upon her family that, you know, would result in death. Kind of harsh, but most curses usually are. So to fall in love was to be a death sentence on the man with whom you fell in love with, which we all got that in practical magic. It is sort of the underlying story of practical magic. So it's not the beginning of the curse, but it is the story of the two aunts in practical magic and how they came about, how those two characters formed. So a lot of backstory, and it does end with a direct tie-in to the practical magic series, which I loved. I really enjoy Alice Hoffman's world building. She is a great storyteller. And I love these characters. I loved the aunts as the aunts in practical magic. And it was so special to be able to see them. Because when I read, I do see my characters. So it was very special to be able to meet them as young people and see them grow up and understand the influences that created the characters that we met in practical magic. So if you've read Practical Magic, you can go back and read this one because it is a prequel. If you haven't read Practical Magic, you can read this one and then read that one. Either way, you can read them in either order. Nothing will be spoiled from one to the other. It is a standalone book, but it is a prequel to Practical Magic, and it is fantastic. So I do recommend this book for anyone who enjoys urban fantasy, who enjoys historical fiction. It's not deep history, but it does take place in the 60s and the 70s. So that flower child, flower power era, if that intrigues you at all, you will enjoy this book. And magical realism. Magical realism also is a major player in this book. Now, you may have guessed by now, if you've watched a few of my podcasts, that I tend to read definite fiction. It is my thing. Reading is a bit of an escape for me, and I love my fiction. So, yes, if you've liked any of the other recommendations I've given you, I highly suggest that you take a look at The Rules of Magic by Alice Hoffman. It's great. Well, that brings us to the end of another podcast. Thank you so much if you've stuck around. If you've enjoyed what I've offered you today, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would so appreciate if you'd do that. And, let people know if you're enjoying this podcast, let them know that it's out there. I would love to build my subscribership, my viewership, so that I can, reach more people in our wonderful, crafty, yarny, fiber goodness community. So if you'd like to stick around, at the end of this podcast, I am going to try and insert some pictures of my wild get-together in the backyard. Show you some pictures of my husband's enormous smoker. It is huge. He built it himself. He is a steel guy by trade. He also does woodworking, but he built this smoker himself. After hours in the shop, he works as a draftsman, and in the shop, it's a steel fabrication shop, and in the shop after hours, he built himself a smoker, and we actually had to get a crane to get it into the backyard. It's that big. So yeah, I'll insert some pictures and show you our smoker and maybe a few pictures of the family having a good time. Alrighty, well, thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks, and until then, bye.